Hi guys, very brief video this evening on tent pegs. So to the right we've got, perhaps not the gold standard, but close to the gold standard in tent pegs, at least for an all-purpose one, the Hilleberg red label tent peg. I don't know what this is called. What does that say? DAC, is it? DAC tent peg. Very light, pretty strong, pretty good really. They always catch me out, these things, because the notch seems to me, you push it in like this and then you realise that the notch is on the wrong side, so you have to push it in that way to resist bending. And I find myself even still putting them in the wrong way, but it's fine. These are really good, they're super strong, and you can see there's a not a sharp notch but a definite notch there to catch the guy rope as it's going in. And to my left I have an eBay tent peg. I think there's a brand of tent peg, is it MSR who make them, which look very similar to this, and yeah, this is like a super cheap eBay version, and the question is it as good as the Hilleberg? It is a little longer. I believe it's 14 centimeters and these are 12 centimeters, so arguably a tiny bit more holding potential. Yeah, super light, super strong, but there are a couple of things that I can notice about them straight away, which means they're possibly not quite as good. First thing is this bit of cord on the end is thicker than the Hilleberg one, and I suspect certainly no stronger and probably less strong. And also it looks to me as if it's squashier. It looks to me as if it might hold a little bit of water. So I suppose if you've got 20 of these things kicking around in your bag, that might hold a bit of water, add to the weight a bit. The other thing about these cheap ones is this is actually quite sharp. So on a really windy night, night after night, I'm not sure if that edge could cut a guy rope. Probably not, but you never know. Compared to this one, which is less sharp, but still quite sharp, to be fair. But whether, because this has only got two sides and the guy rope will be around there, perhaps the weight will be distributed across both sides, whereas on this one you could end up with just the one. If you put the peg in like this and then the guy rope hitting there, you could end up with just the one, and that might cause more pressure. If you put it in that way, of course, then it would be okay, but if you spread the weight over the one, then that might be a disadvantage. The other thing about this 14 centimeter versus 12 centimeter peg is I don't think this is a functional 14 centimeters, because I think you lose at least that 1 centimeter here. You can't do anything with that centimeter, so really you've got 13 centimeters. Compare that to the Hilleberg one, which is noticeably shorter, same like there, but it is shorter. However, on the Hilleberg one, you're only losing that top bit, which is useless. So that top centimetre, which is useless, whereas on this one, it's 2 centimetres that are useless. So this 12 centimetre Hilleberg becomes a functional 11 centimetre. This 14 centimetre cheat becomes a functional 12. So actually, I suspect that the Hilleberg one is only really 1 centimetre less in terms of holding power than the 14. Whether the design is better, 1 groove versus 3, I don't know. 1 fold versus 3, I don't know. But all other things aside, I think these cheap ones are less efficient with their hole. Why not make this hole further up and then bring that notch up a centimetre, and then you would have another centimetre of holding power. So I got these because they were super cheap, and I thought, why not? I'll have a few spares. I don't mind if I smash those. I can hammer them in with rocks and I'm not too worried about them breaking or anything. The only other thing actually I noticed is that this isn't actually that sharp, but it's not super blunt either. The cheat one isn't quite as small a point, There's not a lot in it, but it definitely, the finger test feels blunter. That's definitely blunter than that. Quite a lot. It feels twice the size, this nib, compared to the Hilleberg one. Whether that's really the case, I don't know, but definitely feels it. So I think the copy would probably not penetrate quite as well as a result. Now you wonder whether these are quite rubbish and easily bent. So I did a test. I hammered with a hammer into some concrete, one of these, dead set down, and it didn't budge at all. It didn't bend, it didn't break. Even the nib, which I'll show you now, even this nib, which I have hammered in, didn't deform at all, so that was really good. However, I then tried to bend it by wedging it on the floor against a solid rock and hit it right on the joint, and that did bend it really easily. I didn't hit it very hard at all, and it did bend. So I would say that if the pressure is put directly down the length of the peg, these are super strong. You'd have no issue just belting that in really, really tightly, really, really strongly if you just put it directly down. However, if you're hitting this at a bit of an angle, if you're hitting like that, you're fine. Hitting like that, you're fine. But if you end up hitting slightly off for one reason or another, just the angle of the rock, and you're hitting off and off, you may well bend this. And of course, if you bend it badly and you snap this off, which it probably would be possible, I mean, I can't push that, it feels pretty strong still, but if you did snap it off, then the peg's totally useless because any guy rip is just going to fly right off. There's no other groove. So I'm still going to use these. I'm going to use these. I'll probably bring a few with me every time, and then if I'm ever pitching my tent in poor conditions or through some rock, I'll always use these because I don't mind scuffing these ones up. So I'll always bring a few. You can never have too many tent pegs really, but I'll consider them semi-expendable, and I won't be too surprised if I bend the odd one. They don't feel like they bend. They don't feel like they bend that much in high winds though. But anyway, that's the story of the Hilleberg versus the cheap tent peg. Is it worth spending the extra money? Well, who can say? Only you can say really. But for the money, I would have a packet just to see how you feel. Okay, cheers guys.